Really, this is what we're hoping for in a small garden space like this. Look right down in here, you can see some digging taking place. So I've got to get these out of here before the voles do any more damage. Guten gardening, everybody. Well, right behind me, we have the corner spot in our front garden area. And this is where, just like last year, we decided to grow some sweet potatoes. Now, the sweet potatoes we're growing this year, I'll talk about a little bit as we get in here. But what you should know is that these are from slips that we purchased online. We've been trying our best to keep the voles away from our garden, but I just noticed that there is some digging happening in there, even with this fencing, which I think at the bottom is smaller, but it's still not small enough to keep the voles out potentially. So I have no idea what these sweet potatoes are going to look like at all. I do know though, last year growing in this bed, they did a pretty nice job. It was a little bit harder to harvest them because this is in our soil, in our native soil, with some compost added on top. But I am thinking, you know, second year in, we know what we're about to experience in terms of the degree of difficulty of getting these out of the ground. But last year, it was 100% worth it. And I can't wait to see what we got in here. Hopefully not too much vole damage, and hopefully some nice sized sweet potatoes. Let's go ahead and get into this harvest. One of the nice things about our front yard area is that this gets full sun. It gets the most sun out of anywhere else in our garden. The sun travels across this all day. And so this is an area where we hope for some nice production. That's not the only sweet potatoes we have in our garden. You can see here in our green stalk, we actually have some sweet potatoes as well, planted a little bit later than these other ones, but we're gonna see how well they perform in a later harvest. Let's head back over to our corner spot. The first thing I need to do is to take up this fencing. So this fencing is held in place only by a couple of pieces of metal. And so we'll just pull this right up. I do have to be a little bit careful though, because we have an eggplant growing in here. We have some tomatoes. So I'm gonna gently pull this up. I'm gonna get this out of the way, and then we'll have clear access to our sweet potatoes. And here's the size of the fencing at the bottom. Again, we were really hoping this might be small enough to keep the voles out, but they can just squeeze right through. One of the things that a lot of people love to point out in our videos, and they're absolutely right, and I definitely want to make this clear that we know it and that we love it. Look at these healthy greens. I am not going to be throwing these away. Now that I'm going to be harvesting these sweet potatoes, I'm just going to cut these greens off at the leaf, and I'm going to steam a lot of them up, and they taste just like spinach to me. And something else that I think they don't really tell you about sweet potatoes when you are harvesting them and you're cutting off the greens, there's a sticky substance that comes out of these greens. And if it gets on your clothes, it kind of reminds me of what happens with walnuts, where it stains your clothes. You'll get some black spots all over. So when you're harvesting sweet potatoes, my recommendation is to either be very careful with what you're wearing, or wear something you don't care if it gets a little bit stained. Just for the first part, I haven't really noticed it with the sweet potatoes themselves, but definitely there's some of that here. So we have to be careful, or we'll end up with stuff all over our clothes. Now, we did bring over one of these vole deterrents that buzzes and makes a sound. It's supposed to keep them away, but you know, as I get in here and I look right away, I can see a tunnel right here. See the tunnel? That was created by a vole. So who knows, there might even be one down in there. Who knows what that means that they've done. Again, we're trying to get in here as soon as we see the damage. And you can see this is where one of our sweet potatoes would have been attached or would be attached, and there's some bites on the side of that right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut the greens off the top here. And you know, you can just pull them up if you want to. One of the things that happens when you just pull them out of the ground though is the possibility of snapping off the edges of your sweet potatoes. So it's better, in our opinion, to go ahead and just snip them off. We leave a little bit for us to pull on as we're harvesting. Otherwise, again, it's a little bit more difficult. You don't have anything to get a purchase on. So let me get these cleared off of here, and then we'll start digging around. For those of you who are brand new to sweet potato growing, one of the things that you should know is that here at the nodes is where we see additional roots. So as the plant grows and it continues to crawl along the ground, wherever it comes into contact with soil, it will start to send out new roots. And that way it's very similar to, say, a winter squash. And if we had a longer growing season, these could also turn into sweet potatoes. All right, now you can kind of get a feel for the size of this bed. It is, as I said, a corner bed. It's not all that big. We're probably looking at about 8 square feet, maybe max. And the variety of sweet potato that we planted in here is a Vardaman bush variety sweet potato. And when you're growing sweet potatoes in a bed this small, a bush variety just makes sense. I think the longest vines on here that I saw today were probably about 3 feet long or so. So they don't spread out to the length that you would expect from some of our vining types. And this is actually a really delicious type of sweet potato as well, one that we've grown before. And we got these from taterman.com. So for those of you who are looking to buy your sweet potato slips for the first time, well, we'll see how this one does, but we've had some pretty good success with Taterman sweet potato slips in the past. And now that I have all of the vines out of here, you can see the closeness with which we planted these slips. We've got about 8 or 9 inches, I would say, in between each one. I'm gonna start right on the edge, and I'm gonna start excavating, and we'll see what we have right down in here. Now, you know, if you've watched any of our videos, that when it comes to a harvest, I prefer to do the whole harvest by hand. That's just my preference. I like to get my hands dirty. When it comes to sweet potatoes like this, knowing that they're down in here pretty deep in all likelihood, and given the fact that this is in our native soil, what I'm gonna have to do, this is pretty hard stuff right here, I'm gonna have to bring in a little bit of support. This is what's left of one of our sweet potatoes. So you can see right here at the edge, the vole definitely made its way in, and it's eaten what appears to have been a potentially decent sized potato. And then we have this little one right here with a little bit of damage at the end. All right, I just tucked up underneath here, and we pulled one partially, and then it broke. This is why I don't like using spades any more than I have to, because no matter how careful I am or try to be, I have this feeling I'm just gonna dig right into my sweet potatoes, and I do not like that feeling, because you just don't know how big they're gonna be. You don't know how deep they're going to be as you're trying to get started. Yeah, right here, this is what we've got to excavate. So by this point, we've done a couple of potato harvests for you, Team Potato. And now we're up here getting ready for some of these sweet potato harvests. And you know, our biggest challenge, I think, is trying to determine which type of harvest we enjoy more. And that's a tough question, don't you think? I mean, sweet potatoes, how do you determine which one you like to harvest more? They're both just such a wonderful exploration of the soil, trying to decide, oh, this one is way down in here, trying to decide which one we like the best. You let us know right now, which type of harvest do you enjoy doing or watching the most? A potato harvest or a sweet potato harvest? Now, I did say this was going to require a good bit more work than a potato harvest, right? And I just broke this potato again. All right, first let's talk a little bit about what I got. This is going to be a good bit bigger down below the surface. That's a good size, yeah? But the fact that I broke it, not ideal. We'll have to eat it right away. The fact that it's grown that much, though, means that hopefully, as long as we didn't get a ton of damage, we should be getting some pretty good sized sweet potatoes out of this little bed. All right, here's what it looks like when we put all the pieces together. That's a nice sized sweet potato. Again, now it's in 3 pieces, each of them edible, of course, but we'll try to be a little bit more careful. But that also gives us an idea as to how deep this variety is growing. At least at the start, we're probably about 8 inches or so down into this soil. And once we get past that top 3 or 4 layers of mounded soil and we get down into that native soil, I mean, this is what we've got here. You can see it is a clay soil right down in here, so it's kind of hard to dig around in. I'm not going to take that much time for every single one. All right, as I'm clearing away the top layer here, I come over to our next sweet potato, and again, I just got to find a way to be careful and dig up. I think what I want to do is to come at this from farther away, kind of get some of this soil removed here off to the side so that I can lift up from a distance so I'm not directly on top of this and run the risk of snapping everything that we have here, because I'm sure there are more in here as well. So I'm gonna come at this from an angle, actually with a shovel just for a second, from a distance away, and see what I can do to loosen this up. All right, that loosened things up a lot, very simply right here. You see how all this native soil just really clumps together. All right, this one, not really thick, But way down in here, actually, let me show you what just came up with all of this particular one right by the edge here. So we had technically all of this from a single slip. One of the roots blew up into a really nice sized sweet potato. The other ones are edible. These are more like French fries, I would say, sweet potato fries. Not really massive. All right, we're over to our next area here, our next slip over. And I'd say I've cleared off probably 3 inches that top layer. I've cleared off the easy stuff. Let's be honest here. I'm not gonna break this one. It's just not gonna happen. There's no way. Come on, I just keep telling myself that. That way I won't do it, right? All right, there we go. All right, not a massive sweet potato, but a really nice, tasty sweet potato. One thing I can tell you about the Vardamans, they have this nice light orangish skin on the outside, and inside's that nice orange as well. And this variety is not a stringy sweet potato. That's one of the things I really love about them. They're not stringy, and I don't really love the stringiness so much. Here you can see a vole-eaten sweet potato. It looks to me like the vole deterrent device wasn't the most useful out here, wasn't the most productive. You know, one thing to keep in mind when you're harvesting sweet potatoes, it is definitely possible for them to break easily. And so you have to be careful. One of the things you're gonna run into, if you don't have a raised bed and you're growing them like we are right now, and you have this clay soil, the probability or possibility that you're gonna break them, I think, is higher. That being said, when you have clay soil, you know, typically that's some nice nutrient dense soil. Oh, there we go. Not massive. This one actually broke off. I have the other piece of that. To be honest, we would have liked to have left these in the ground longer, but the voles really forced our hands. I mean, when they start going to town eating these, then we have to get them out of the ground if we want any harvest at all. So we're out here harvesting a week or two earlier than what we would like to do. Now, that being said, these still look really nice, so I'm not going to complain too much. And it's better to have some harvest. It's better to have a yield where we're getting some sweet potatoes that we can eat than letting those voles eat everything. But all that being said, it still looks like, and I've got 3 of them right here, it looks like we still have some that have some good size. All right, let me see. Let me see what we got. Find the beginning and the end point for this one. Well, it looks to me like this is a pretty nice size one here. And it looks like this slip in particular, which has a thicker stem up here. You can see where it's coming from. A thicker stem. It looks like it produced a few more, and the size of these looks a little bit better. Well, I've been digging in here now for about 5 minutes, being as delicate as possible. I'm just now uncovering this sweet potato finally, and I've still got these underneath here that I'm trying to get to. Again, just trying to be as careful as possible, knowing just how easy it is to damage these. But what I can tell you is the size of this one, I think, is pretty nice. We've got it right here off to the side. I think I can probably, there you go. You can see just how nice and long that one is as it heads back up to where it's connected at the top. So this one I've got to keep going. This will probably be the longest one. Oh, there we go. There we go. I got this one pulled off. You can see again where I told you it's connected right here, right up underneath this one. There's another one coming out. You know, if this was a raised bed, I'd just pull right by the top and we'd see the whole thing pop out. That's not going to happen here. But let's go ahead and detach this one. And you can see what we've got here. This is probably 14 inches long or so. That's my guess. And you can see some nice size to this one. We'd love to have it a little shorter and a little bit fatter, but still, this is going to be really tasty. And I'm going to finish detaching this one. You can see these are really, really long. There we go. So 2 of them from that same plant, just about the same length overall. And you can see, I can see some damage here to this one, but maybe this one's a little bit thicker as well. All right, once I get this one loosened up, right here, there's still plenty. Oh, it's way down in there. There's plenty more attached to that one to make that a really valuable sweet potato for us. All right, here's the one where I'd say one of our voles ate about half of, which is a nice size still. We'll just cut that end off right there and eat the rest of it. This same one where we got those 2 to 3 really nice size ones, has a whole bunch more attached. And really, this is what we're hoping for in a small garden space like this. Anywhere where we can see multiple of these attached to the same spot. I mean, we want a couple of pounds of production from each slip if we can get it. That's going to be so tasty. Yeah, right there. That's a nice sized sweet potato. You know, one of the things I love about a harvest like this is that the greens themselves really hide, oh, there we go, really hide what's growing underneath here. We don't really have a clue until we get in here to see what's going on. And so this is like, we're trusting that the process that we know that has worked for us in the past is still going to be working, and we're still going to get results like we want. Well, we'll get to that one eventually, but as I got closer to it, I saw still coming off of this one slip. I think we have the rest of it here. Just a whole bunch more. Again, the roots on this one was really productive just overall. There's the slip finally out of the ground, but we saw quite a few. You can see where the roots were, the tops of the roots here. We saw quite a few of nice potatoes off of this singular slip. Not all slips are created equal, that is for sure, but we'll take these sweet potatoes any day. That's a nice one. Let's see, I think I can pull this one up right now. That's another nice one. They're not huge, but they're going to be excellent eating. This is so interesting. I just harvested some fingerling potatoes, and they didn't grow nearly as deep, of course, and so that harvest took so little time. I've been out here for probably 35-40 minutes digging in here, just trying to be careful to make this happen. And these are our results so far, so not bad. We'll take a couple more bigger ones though. Since I got that side cleared out, I'm just going to try to pop this up and open it up a little bit, see if that helps us out for the rest of this harvest. Try to speed things up just a little bit. Well, this one popped up right as I was opening that up. We'll take it. Boy, just look at this soil. This is about, you see this light tan stuff, kind of grayish soil. That's about 5 inches down. That's what we were dealing with. That's what they fill the soil with in here for these properties. That and a bunch of stones as well. So you know that's not ideal for growing, and that's why we keep having to add our compost every year. That's looking pretty nice. I love seeing the fact that we can't see the end of some of these. That always makes me feel good when I see that they're really digging down in there and we've got a really nice sized sweet potato coming out of here. And I'm gonna have to get around the edge. Oh, there's another one right here. The smaller roots that didn't really bulb up as much, but this one's really nice. I'm trying my best here, folks, to not break these sweet potatoes. Really want them to store longer term. Oh, here we go. Right there. That's a beauty. You know, my younger daughter's been asking me all week to take her fishing. As soon as I'm done this harvest, we're gonna make that happen. We gotta get out there for a little bit, maybe catch some more food to bring home. All right, I can see a couple underneath here. This one looks like it's ready. There we go. I am not displeased at all. Again, I was a little bit worried that there'd be a ton of vole damage because you saw that tunneling at the beginning of the video, and I'm not seeing so much of that. I was also worried that because we had to harvest earlier than we wanted, most of them would be too small, but I'm actually seeing, and let's see right down in here, I'm actually seeing some decent size come out of here. Yeah, some nice ones right there. Again, these are not the thickest sweet potatoes, but there's so many ways to prepare these, and we like to steam ours often. Really don't lose a ton of nutrient that way, but the shape of them doesn't matter to us as much anyway. Remember, there's a lot of fiber in the skin, so whether you're peeling them or not, these longer ones are actually really easy to take care of. And as I said, they are absolutely delicious. You know, we did a taste test video last season where we took 7 of the varieties of sweet potatoes that we grew and we tasted all of them, and I provided some feedback. So you should definitely check that out. We're down to our last couple of slips in here. I've been digging and digging and digging to try to loosen up our soil in here. So I think we're gonna have an easier time here at the end. There we go. Well, this one has a little bite taken out of it. Most of it's still in good shape. I like these little ones. I think they're kind of fun. That one looks like a lemon. I know I saw a nice looking one right here. Yeah, that's an absolutely wonderful sweet potato. Looks like I just cut off the end of that while I was digging up. But you know what? Last year, we had a little bit of damage from excess rain, a little bit of rotting happening. I am not seeing that one bit here. Oh, there's the rest of that potato. Oh, look at that. We put that on there. That sweet potato was huge. Probably one of the biggest ones out of here, not just the longest one. And then right beside it, there's another nice one. One of the things I found, and I've said this already in the video, I'm just gonna repeat it. When you get a really nice sweet potato slip, when it's really developing well, the end result typically is there are multiple nicer sized sweet potatoes on there. I think there's more, yep, right here. Right down in here, more from this singular slip that are nice size. That's a definite serving for my family, each one of those. My kids would love these. Now, if this is the first sweet potato harvest video of ours that you've seen, what you should know is that sweet potatoes are probably the key staple in our garden. Sweet potatoes are the vegetable that we place so much value in terms of what we need for overall production from our garden. They're just so versatile, so healthy for us. Our children love them so much. We really focus in on making these an important part of our garden harvest. Well, folks, we did have some damage, and it was some serious work getting these out of here, but we got some really nice Vardaman sweet potatoes. I can't wait to get in and try these. Now, we have a lot more sweet potatoes to harvest. Well, for me, that was a fun harvest. Ton of work getting into here, but worth it for sure. Now, the videos that we have coming for you for Team Sweet Potato, we've got a massive 32-foot bed that we're going to harvest here over the next couple of weeks. My hope is that the weather stays warm so that we can wait as long as possible to get those out of the ground, give them as much time to develop as possible. Well, we're going to head inside with these beauties. We're not going to wash them off or anything like that. We don't wash off anything that we're planning to store. Well, we'll see where they go. I guarantee you some of them are gonna go for dinner. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video today, and if you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.